Welcome to another sunny week in Star Citizen. We've seen 3.14 live roll out. We're seeing a few bugs. Let's see what the contests are, what the referral program bonuses are, and some of those bugs, let's try to hunt them down. And let's see what CIGs and the community are doing about them. So let's start with this week in Star Citizen. As a reminder, there is chapters in these videos, so just jump ahead if you don't want to see certain things or if you want to refocus on things. There you go. You know what to expect. So, 314 rolled out. We've seen Orison roll out, and I'm sure you've heard 600 people already talking about this if you're sorting through YouTube. But one of the things I wanted to cover a little bit is the 3 separate contests that were implemented as part of today. The Finding Finley contest, where you put a storm wall, stuff Finley, in a random spot and grab a screenshot of that, and you send it in for a chance at a reward. So do something clever with it. Maybe take him to Bennyhenge, maybe take him on your ship. So the Finding Finley contest is going to be linked below. Submissions are due by August 12, and I didn't get a chance to see the reward. 1 Finley plushie physical merch and 1 standalone Tumbrel Nova tank in game with LTI. That's pretty dang nice. Keep in mind that the Tumbrel Nova is about 550k, I believe, now on the in-game store at New Deal. Now, it is worth significantly more, though, on the hangar. If you do get this with LTI, I would highly recommend maybe just getting a cheap CCU and hanging on to it. I'm not saying don't enjoy your tank, but down the line you'll be able to CCU it into a ship, which will be keep that value for you. And of course, the merch is what it is. Depending on where you're from, that's actually quite nice, especially if it includes shipping. So you are submitting these cards. You post it on Spectrum, etc. If you're using social media, you got to use certain tags. I would just post it on Spectrum and be done with it. You are not allowed to use reshade. I know some folks really enjoy that, and there is no group submissions, so it's pretty cool. The plushie is available in the spaceport or in the gift shop at Orison. So the spaceport, the August Dunlow spaceport's on the 2nd floor, just as you come off the elevators for the ASOP terminals. When you come off your ship, or you're getting on your ship, you would exit that area, go past the food places that are on your left and your right, and straight ahead, there's your plushies right there. In fact, that looks like a screenshot directly from August Dunlow. That direction's where you do these ship purchases. Retrieval. Now, you pick one up. Keep in mind that it's stuck in your hands the whole time. And you can jump on a ship, though. You can do different things while you're carrying it. You have to put it down. It does make a plushie noise, which is hilarious when it falls. I would not recommend going to Orison General and putting it on a stretcher, even though that's funny. I think every single person is going to do that. But anyway, get your screenshots in. We'll see how it goes. The second contest is the Wish You Were Here greeting card contest. So you do something with the Orison landing zone, and this is something you can be a little more creative with. You can add your personal referral code, so hopefully that you can get a few referrals. And remember, this month until the 31st of August, you will get a free Dragonfly with the Coalfire skin with LTI as a bonus, and so will they. The first person who does that, and every additional person will get that. You'll only get one, though, so just keep that in mind. So if you're the person they're using the referral code, you will get all the other normal bonuses. You will also get a Dragonfly. And the person whoever does use it, will get 5k UEC. They will get a Dragonfly on top of that with the Coalfire skin, just like you did with LTI. And that's a nice little way to start the game. I think that, new players, that's a pretty awesome thing. It's also great for the older players. I would highly recommend finding your nearest friends. If somehow you came upon this video, you haven't already made the dip, reach out to your friends. If you have none at all, I have a referral code below. But once again, if you have any friends playing the game, they would greatly appreciate this, especially if it's their first one this month. They could really use a Dragonfly too. You'll both end up with one, and that's pretty cool. A Dragonfly is more like a personal hover motorcycle. but it is something that you can also CCU off of into a small ship or something larger if you'd like. I would say that that's something that I would do if I was in that position. I would enjoy it for a while and then maybe get a CCU to say a 325A or a 315P. In an ideal world, with no customizations, don't waste any money. Or if you don't want to swing that kind of thing, you could get a Pisces. It's a little more affordable, and it still seats 3. Just some thoughts. One thing to keep in mind about these referral ships, just a reminder, if you place them into, if you intended to put them in buyback, you will not be able to. They are LTI. You can upgrade them. You cannot throw them into the buyback. So they're kind of stuck to your account. I believe you can still gift them. I have to double check that. But you can, you basically can just upgrade them. So you can keep them or you can upgrade them. It's a free ship. Enjoy it. I would hang on to it and just CCU it maybe, or have a CCU on standby. That's about the only thing I'd recommend. You can see here that the creating a greeting card includes an in-game screenshot of Orison Landing Zone with the message, "Wish you were here." So I would add both. I would be sure to add your referral code as well. So visit me at Orison, and then your referral code is a good idea, or something else clever like that. And the rewards are fantastic. Look, first place gets a Crusader Hercules Starlifter with LTI. I wish they said which one it was. The second place gets a Crusader Mercury Star Runner with LTI, and the third place gets a Taurus with LTI, so the RSI Taurus. Now, I would recommend, if you could, push for a better Hercules, just because of value, but I'm assuming this is a C2 Herc. Because they didn't specify, you might be able to get an M2 or an A2, whichever you prefer, but I doubt they're going to let you. Well, I guess if anybody finds it gets first place, let us know. Put it in feedback or messages. I'd love to find out and update everybody, or you can update them yourself. So this is a pretty cool thing. Remember, there's a separate submission thread for these. I think these cards are really where it's at. The Finley is something you can do clever while you're trying to find your spot, while you're trying to find your inspiration. As seen here, the nighttime images and the sunsets in Orison are just fantastic. It's like a different place. Soon there's going to be a collab video out that I just finished up with Ash. And we covered that very well. A lot of the video is daytime, some of the videos at night, and it's really, really interesting to see the lighting dynamics of the location. It is hard to fly there at night unless you really know the place well, and it seems like for whatever reason the spaceport does not turn its lights on immediately, so August Dunlow is like the dimmest lit place in the entire city until an actual sunset is finalized. And then it turns all its lights on. It's a really weird experience, but and probably just a glitch. So, off to that, there is a final contest. I am not the person to do this. I am not known for my coloring, or my color palette of my eyes. But if you are so inclined, there is some nice rewards for a coloring contest. So what you'll do is you take this template here, this one linked. And once again, these will all be linked below, all these contests. You will use the template provided, and you post in the screen submission thread or on Twitter, Instagram. I'd recommend just using Spectrum and be done with it. No computer-generated artwork will be accepted. Entries must be physically colored using crayons, paints, markers, etc. If you're going to attempt this, I highly recommend picking up just a cheap pack of colored pencils. It'll make it much easier with the detail. If you really want to stand out and you like the more high contrast look, you might want to pick up a couple graphites, like a couple grays and blacks. Back a long time ago, I did know a thing or two about coloring. Nowadays, I'd be hopeless, but then I'd be all right. I would not use any type of watercolors or crayons or something that's not detail. You want something very fine point. You can see the struts there and all the little details that go into a Constellation that truly make it the ship it is, add a lot of depth and dimension, a lot of places you can screw up. I'd be very careful. But yes, it's a cool little thing. Remember to have good lighting when you take your picture, or if you're scanning it in, remember to use a high DPI on your scanner to provide the finished product after you did all that hard work. But the first place is a Connie Taurus and Grey Cat ROC DS. The second place is a Taurus and an Ursa Rover. And the third place is a Connie Taurus and a Cyclone, which are all these, by the way, have LTI, which is all great rewards. I mean, it ain't no Hercules Starlifter, but they're pretty good, especially with the Taurus price hike. Also, keep that in mind. The Taurus is now up to 190 outside of War Bond, and I think it's 160 with War Bond. That's a serious price ship, and it's a good ship all around. It's an actual good ship. So that's the 3 contests. Now, I think those are one of the bigger selling features this week. Additionally, like we already talked about, there is a referral process. It's literally the first referral you get for the month. It does not discriminate. So if it's an older referral and that person happens to buy in now, that's just as good as a brand new referral that buys in. So, and it's up to the end of the month, and they do have to purchase a game package. They can't just buy like a $5 skin. They have to buy the full game, or yeah. So keep that in mind. On Tuesday, the narrative team will put out a short story called "The Shakedown," with commodity fussings. Let's try this again. With commodity pricing falling at ArcCorp, Berkeley cuts corners on his delivery to try and secure a profit on a haul he desperately needs. But things don't always work out as expected. So let's see what Berkeley's up to, and let's have some fun with that. I hope that I had a lot of fun and good feedback on the payout. If you haven't checked out that video, it's on the end of this card. I'll put that up at the end of this video. But the payout was a lot of fun. It was extremely challenging, and those videos really don't give me a lot of views. So please, if you enjoyed them, subscribe, give feedback. Subscribe anyway, if you could. I'm just going to do that one plug. Promise that's it. But they greatly help because it shows what people like. And that's one of the reasons I enjoy making these videos. It's not just to inform the community, which is the main objective, but also enjoy the content, creating the content, and making the content for you folks to enjoy as well. It really makes my day, and it makes it really fun, and it keeps me going. So it's kind of like a two sides of the coin here. You know, analysis and then also entertainment. At least I try to do both. Still learning. I'm always learning. Wednesday, we'll bring you the bi-weekly roadmap update and the roadmap roundup. We'll also cross-post the Squadron 42 comlink, so the older comlink from the Squadron 42 newsletter. It was out last week, I believe. I'm going to skip the spoilers on the Squadron 42 uplink. Basically, if you read the Star Citizen Persistent Universe monthly report, you pretty much saw everything for Squadron, unless you really want to go dig deep into, like, this mission at this location was worked on. A lot of the server discussions, a lot of the AI discussions, they were already covered in the Star Citizen monthly report. I don't know why they're bringing that out again. They should have posted it on, maybe just they forgot to. I mean, they really should have posted that on Comlink anyway, but when they first posted it on the email. Because not everybody has those emails selected. If you go into your account settings on the top right corner of the RSI website when you're logged in, you can go to settings, and then you can do newsletters, newsletter preferences, and you can select to receive or not receive those emails. As a reminder, if you're a subscriber and you're wondering why you don't get your subscription emails, like, hey, everybody keeps seeing all these cool new things coming out, and I don't see the teasers for them. That's why. Now, what's more exciting on Wednesday is the bi-weekly roadmap update and roadmap roundup. What that means is the roadmap roundup is just a post on Spectrum, and they cover either a couple things or a whole bunch of things. I believe with 314 out, and as Jared keeps calling it, the road to CitizenCon is here. And on top of that, the last roadmap roundup was very, very sparse. There was 3 things on it, and they were not even a paragraph at most about each one, and maybe not even a couple sentences. So I would say that I suspect this roadmap roundup will have a little more care to it and a lot more attention. And that roadmap update is where you go into the Star Citizen's development roadmap section. So if you're on the RSI website, you go to development, then roadmap, click there, and then you can see the different parts of the roadmap that have been updated. The roadmap roundup kind of gives you hints of where to look and at least some in-depth details about each thing, or at least that's the way it's supposed to kind of have a relationship between each one. So they kind of go hand in hand, which is good. More dev feedback is good. Thursday, there'll be another Inside Star Citizen episode. They're talking about Arena Commander improvements, player versus player scenarios in the PU, and talk with senior systems designer Ben Dorsley on day one development for Jumptown 2.0. I'm looking forward a lot to Jumptown 2.0 discussion. I want to see what they're going to do with it. It was a great PvP environment, so I'm guessing that's how it ties into player versus player scenarios in the PU, unless that's a whole nother part. We need a criminal element. There's a yin and a yang relationship. You can't be a bounty hunter without bad people that have bounties on their heads. You can't have one without the other. So having that environment and having more places for pirates to congregate and have lucrative trade deals to work through and not so work together on things is a good thing. And it also makes more exciting environments for people to play in. So cool stuff. Arena Commander improvements are good anyway. As I talked about before with Theaters of War, I hope that some of the lessons learned in these other scenarios like Star Marine and Arena Commander are tied into Theaters of War, and then by extension, they lead to PU lessons that can be used in the PU at the very least, and hopefully in Squadron as well as needed. Basically, these environments are the only place you're going to have the amount of PvP or PvE content where you constantly respawn, so fast environments where you can see truly where these ships lay over thousands of encounters documented very fast and very detailed. So, because it's the same environment over and over again. So you can truly say, hey, how come the Arrow is 90% of the time winning against these other three ships? It's not just the pilot because it's all these different pilots, but it's the same ship keeps it winning. So you can look at those developments and say, maybe we need to examine how that interplay is happening. So that's a lot of exciting stuff on Thursday. And finally on Friday, the update to Subscriber Vault, which is a bittersweet thing for me. I always encourage folks to get to the lower level of subscription if you can afford it. And that actually does contribute to your concierge as you get closer and closer to that level if you haven't already. If you're close, subscriber does count towards the value that you need. And then but it's bittersweet for me because I want to talk about a lot of things that are in the Subscriber Vault, but I can't. I especially can't show photos and such from the Subscriber Vault, unfortunately. That's actually where most of the lore posts on Tuesdays come from, like the one called The Shakedown. I guarantee if I look through it, I'll find it in an old jump point. But anyway, the RSI newsletter will wait for you in your inbox, and that should have some good teasers, especially with, iterative patches coming and 3.15 coming very quickly. From what I heard through the rumor mill, within weeks, in 3 or 4 weeks, we may see the first Evocati hints of people bragging about getting the test out pieces of 315, which is just crazy, but that's the way I think it has to be to prepare for CitizenCon and have all the big deployments and the things that they're excited about. We got a new Star Citizen Live episode as well, which will be broadcast on the Twitch channel. I try to record them on Twitch sometimes when I have the ability, if I'm not home or if I'm at work. In general, I'll have to use the YouTube variant. If you are a content creator, I highly recommend using the Twitch version. Be sure to record it. You can record it live. You can gather the energy of the chat, and you can really see the actual questions, not the paraphrase question that's answered or talked about, and you don't really see the full context of it. So I'd recommend that. It really changes. It really changed the way I view Star Citizen Live, and it really makes it more fun. And it keeps everything in. There's no chance of editing or anything else like that. It really captures that live spirit of the game, of the product. If you look, they haven't said yet who's on there, unless it's up here. Nope. So they have not said who it is yet. So that's a shame. They are probably, like many other of the live editions of the episodes around major patches, they'll probably pull in at the last minute who they're going to have on there. Hopefully they'll hint at it early in the week so we can kind of speculate a little bit about what they want to focus on. Stay tuned for more information about this week's guest and time. So, Yeah. So there is the more basic content schedule, all shown in this piece. I just checked while setting up this next clip that the referral is not able to be gifted. It is simply basically a gift from CIG to you that's stuck on your account. Basically, you have LTI on it. You can't take the Dragonfly or the skin and gift them to someone else. You can't sell them. You can't buy back them. They're just there. You can CCU them, however, to anything you'd like. So just keep that in mind. I'd recommend a small ship, upgraded to it, or just hang on to that ship. So when you're tired, you can toy around with the Dragonfly, and then when you're ready, you can just CCU that right to a small ship, because Dragonflies have a decent amount of value nowadays. So, I just wanted to mention the couple kind of hodgepodge of things here before I get into power management. There's two things that have been very active that are bugs that are being worked on, and then I'm going to go into bugs that really need to continue to be worked on. So, there is a discussion about flight vectors being changed, especially for decoupled mode, so you can see where the ship's center line is. So when you're in decoupled mode, you can make it easier to safely fly. And Yogi pointed out that they will add that as an option, but not for 3.14, and he mentioned that as of yesterday. So an option to turn on or off the flight vector system would be nice, so you can see where the vector of the ship is, so you know which direction the ship is flying. How much of an angle you're on, etc. You're in decoupled mode, especially. It can be very dangerous if you're not careful. The second one that they're working on is basically scanning mode for different kinds of ships. This user mentioned that there was issues with the 350R and the Vanguard being able to use scan and not be able to ping rocks, not be able to ping different sites, and they were asking if it's an energy issue, etc. And Mark Abbott pointed out that this was a bug. Issue counsel has been filed about it. They're going to continue to work on it. So that's the two that I had that are being worked on that are right away. Now, Baior has another post. Now, you folks have probably heard me talk a few times about Baior, but what I want to bring together is there is a stack of things to talk about. So Baior has a big post, Power Management V2. They are trying to collect feedback about multiple things. So the changes to capacitor affecting weapon fire rates and damage have increased dramatically. Ballistic weapons have had their ammo pools reduced. Energy weapons now have limited ammo, which is automatically regenerated when the weapon is not being used. This is the clip system where they loads this virtual ammunition and you can see it being loaded. So say it's a 60 round energy magazine, it will automatically recharge the minute you stop firing. Regen will change based on the size of it and also how much power you give. So if you're on the 33 triangle, which is weapons, propulsion, engineering, so shields, putting more towards weapons so it has a bigger number, say 50% of your energy of the entire ship is being dedicated to weapons, that recharge will happen faster and that recharge will happen more. So that's what he's talking about there. How fast the weapon regenerates is dictated by the weapon's capacitor system on each ship or manned turret. How big the ammo pool is for energy weapons is dictated by the ship or turret. The capacitor system is limited in terms of performance. Regenerating 4 weapons at the same time will take longer than just 2. That's something I did not realize, but it makes a lot of sense. Manned turrets have their own isolated weapon capacitor systems that will generate weapons faster and have a much larger capacitor ammo pool, effectively making them much more deadly, which is good, especially for the Hammerhead and the mini baby Hammerhead, the Redeemer, and to a lesser extent, the dang Hurricanes that have been a plague on society right now. Hopefully they'll be a little brought in line, but they're still good to see that multi-crew turreted ships have bonuses. Boost, formerly Afterburner, now uses thrust capacitor system, which drains under use with a cooldown after use before it will begin to recharge, and it also has a lag when it kicks on. Thrust capacitor has a lower threshold where Afterburner can no longer be activated. Shields have been retuned to operate similar to capacitors. The power priority is now a capacitor priority, which can prioritize charging one system, shields, weapons, thrusters over another, visible in the power MFD, and this is where we come to the power triangle. Systems with higher than default 33% priority will have secondary beneficial effects. And one of these things will be shields are going to be adjusted where what they're trying to tune is if you give the shields more power and on certain kinds of shield modules, it will actually increase the hardness of the shields. So it will not allow as much damage to pass through the shields. So pretty exciting stuff. The excitement via keys F5, F6, F7, F8 and the F8 reset or power triangle will set the regeneration speed for thruster capacitor, shield regeneration, energy weapon, and ammo generation. And what they're talking about there is when you hit these keys, it'll change the power triangle to favor one of the three and then the reset button if you hit those. So I highly recommend trying them in a safe location and try it out, see how you like it. And, I've said before, I'll say this again, for haulers in specifically, half and half on power for propulsion and power for shields is good, like 50-50. And then when you get into combat, you can just hit F8 to reset, so you get 33, 33, 33, so your weapons are going to work. You turreted folks can do their job, or yourself, as whatever piloted weapons you have, is a good idea. The reason for that is as you get closer to landing in tight quarters, that extra boost may save you, and the extra shields may save you if you get hit by an enemy PvPer or a NPC, etc. Overclock and power sliders have been removed for now. Overclock we knew about. Power sliders, it was kind of surprising a little bit that that's been removed. I'm guessing they can't balance it correctly and it might not do that much at the moment. And they've had a lot of changes. The goal of this update is to create more dramatic effect in gunnery, emphasizing precise shooting and timing of shots rather than a constant stream of fire or trading fire. Your weapons should feel more powerful but more limiting. Missing should have more impact. We also want to emphasize trade-offs and priority changes and usage of systems. These change comes with full update of the ship flight and durability tunings to match roles, but that portion will be assessed in separate feedback thread at a later date. Now, this is what they're asking, is if you could post into this thread that is still actively being posted in by CIG devs and get us information that will help if you're not seeing something. Like, for example, the hurricanes are getting crazy, post about your experiences. If you don't believe they're crazy, find who's talking about that and reply and explain how these things are changing. And most importantly, what I'd really like to do, I'm not going to read every one of these, but I'd like you to take a look at what Baior, what Yogi, and the other devs are posting in here. It's in this colored font. That you can see these changes have been thought about, been changed, and there's a lot in here. There is a lot in here. And one of the things that is really cool is this was posted on July 8th, but the parts that are most important to me are new posts. They're still posting here. Sorry, this is what I meant. So they posted yesterday. And this is really crazy that you can see these over and over and over. Here's an example of somebody who's talked about the 600i shouldn't have significantly greater capacitors than the M2, a military class hauler that has military gear on board. And Yogi saying they're going to take a look at that. So if you have an opinion on this, now is the time to post about these things because the devs are looking at these. And if you go into here, here's another one that he posted yesterday. So you have that initial hit. A lot of that is still true that Baior posted, but I gotta say that the people who are most vocal in threads like these, they are going to win out the day. I'm not saying the devs are completely, unable to realize what they see, but if they see an overwhelming number of people are posting, I don't like this, or I do like that, and I want to change this, and my ship needs this. That's what they're looking at. Right now, what's Yogi looking at? He's looking at the 600i compared to the M2. That's what he's looking at right now. So if you're a 600i fan, you better get on here, and you better talk about that. What are you expecting to see? Well, you got to understand the M2 has extra armor over the 600i, And also, you've got to think about the fact that the M2 does not, what does it have, two size 4 weapons? Does it really need that much capacitor compared to the three size 5s on board the 600i, not even counting the 4 racks of size 3 missiles? See, that's the type of things that you could reply with. And you could talk about, like, well, maybe 3 size 5 weapons do need a ton more capacitor. Maybe 2 size 3 shields do need more, shields. When you put those 3 size 5 guns on top of dual size 3 shields. And that's just off the top of my head. But these are right here. These threads, if you ever wondered, here's another, like, Yogi's been posting and posting and posting on here. And other devs, if you go back further into the older days, you can see many more. But I mean, you can see right here. And here's some hints about what's coming up. That's a known bug in the pipe distribution, which usually affected ships with bigger size weaponry, size 5 plus. We have a speculative fix for the next available patch release. So this is telling me right now one of the focuses of the next patch is going to be bug fixes for a larger weaponry, which also means that at the very least they're looking at the base level, they're looking at size 5 and above weaponry right now. I just glean that off of this. I don't have a crystal ball. What I do is I look at what the devs post. I look at what the videos are put out. I see what the community is talking about, and then I put that all together. And that's how I do it. And this is just post after post after post from Yogi, for example. It's just, I would say that this is kind of, I guess, an overtime discussion, but I read all that Baior stuff to get you in the right mindset about what type of battle is being fought, and now you're seeing it right here. It's very dependent on the weaponry you use. Usually size 5 plus weaponers, as their capacitor requests, are very large due to the high damage output, and that's a speculative fix in for the next patch release to fix what they're seeing as a known bug where the larger weapons don't work if they're below 33%. It's a capacitor bug. It's something that we've known about, but multiple players do not know about it. Clearly, there's issues with these ships that have these experiences with larger weapons, and the information is not getting out to the community. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Anecdotally, I've had 2 friends so far that have had hard crashes trying to play, and one of the biggest pieces of advice I've given everyone is be certain that you are have your clouds in your options menu set to medium. Hit escape, graphics in game, and then you go straight to clouds. Volumetric cloud something, and you set that to medium. Because if you don't, your FPS anywhere near Crusader is gonna run like dirt. And I hate to say that. Look, I mean, unless you've got like a 3080 or something or above, just trust me on this. Run the clouds at medium, especially if you're going to try recording or alt tabbing and running other stuff in the background, even just music or something. It's a bad idea if you don't have those clouds at medium. It's just they have not been optimized, or they're just really, really needy. There's a massive gulf between large and medium. Medium and high setting, I should say. But it is what it is. I think that there is a lot of issues that we're seeing that, just Yogi Clyde alone, these legacy bugs that he's talking about with firing on a button on a stick. I might click an inactive UI element before it's in your MFD, which is the little screens in front of your character when you're in a pilot or co-pilot seat. But yes, there is a lot of bugs being worked on. The focus will be bugs. I would not be shocked if Star Citizen Live has a lot of discussion, not just trying to sell you on the new stuff, but also talking about the bug fixes that are coming up. And I would not be shocked if we have a 314. I'm not going to call it a .1, but I am going to call it a new build of 314 that has a lot of attempts at bug fixing, and also, as Yogi calls it, speculative patch fixing of larger class weapons. That's an example of what we're starting to see here. This is not like the devs are officially communicating to all of us. They simply are replying to random people on this thread. And I'm going to include a link to this thread that is over a month old, but as of yesterday, they're still posting here, and they're answering a lot of his specific questions, and you'll probably find your bug. So if you have a major issue and you don't see it on here, I highly recommend adding it to right here. Heck, before you even put it on issue council, put it here. Especially if it has anything to do with capacitor or ships not working right, etc. The systems on there are failing. Now's the time to put it on here and get some answers for yourself. And if you're seeing your ship out of whack, don't forget you can always use the control key and the F key to control find, and you can type in the name of your ship and just search down the list of these 100 plus comments and see if somebody already brought up your ship about how it's having an issue. I think right now there's a lot of ships that are out of meta. Like they're probably not going to fix them either. The Eclipse is a good example. It's only got the 3 size 9 torps. It really needs something, but those size 9 torps, if they do manage to hit, each one is an insta pop of anything, even a hammerhead that the enemies bring, except for maybe the Idris. I don't think it kills the Idris in one hit. But yeah, and I've heard a lot of discussion about shield holes on ships like the 890 and Carrack. If it manages to hit one of those, it one-shots it. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So it's an interesting dynamic. I think some of these ships that are at the moment very strong, like the Hurricane you heard me complain about earlier, are going to see a rebalancing for sure, and especially when the smaller weapons, are not able to break larger ships. But that's going to be a while. I mean, unless they decide to straight up nerf the ship's damage potential, I don't see how it's going to just... Because right now they just chew on the ships until they break them. So, I mean, the best offense right now is defense. By being in a fully stocked Carrack, a fully stocked Hammerhead, or fully, even attempt an 890 jump with that huge shield it has. But I wouldn't recommend that. It's just for fun. If you don't have the other two, I guess. But, or just a Hurricane yourself. They're very strong right now. The Vanguard Sentinel is another example of very strong. But if you see something that's truly out of whack, you can talk about it here, and see, especially if it's ship systems related, they should answer. Or at the very least, maybe the community can at least draw some spotlight on it. We can all talk about it. That's all I got for today. This is kind of setting the tone for the rest of the week. I want to thank you all for making it this far, and have a great day.